We live in a world that is essentially becoming an anxiety-provoking machine. Much of the news media and social media is so focused on the ills of the world and events that are going on far away from us, we really have no idea if they're going to impact us or not. But it kind of leaves the door open like they might. And the human brain has a really hard time dealing with true dangers, proximate things that are right in front of you, and then maybe things that could possibly happen to you. And the video systems are so good now, and even with AI, they're changed in a way where it's really hard to tell the difference between something that truly happened or something that was just made up. But all of these together create a background anxiety when we continue to immerse ourselves in this type of media. Anxiety is not to be confused with stress, as stress is typically a physical, mental, or even spiritual pressure point that is healthy in many respects because stress can be productive and motivating to help us complete tasks or to get focused on a situation that needs to be resolved. When we're in danger and we see it and we feel stressed, it helps us act to do something about it. Anxiety, on the other hand, is much more corrosive and damaging because it's a worry without a specific cause a lot of times, which makes it so elusive. When you have anxiety that is not specific to a particular issue or circumstance, it can be really debilitating and cause all type of negative consequences, such as lack of sleep, physical symptoms, mental distractions, and confusion, just to name a few. Although anxiety may not have a specific cause all the time, there are specific ways and strategies that you can use to start to reduce the symptoms of anxiety. I want to be clear that we're talking about general anxiety that we all feel, that natural agitation that's in the back of our minds, not diagnosable mental illness, as if these are present, it's really important to seek out professional help and specific psychological help or go talk to your doctor, because if it gets too far down the road and you have a serious mental illness, you got to really deal with that quickly to avoid negative outcomes. Today, we're talking about mild general anxiety that we all carry from time to time. One of the first things you got to do when you're dealing with anxiety is to stop adding to it. Stop or reduce those things that are input, such as social media that isn't working for you, news that is particularly polarizing, bad food, alcohol, or social circumstances or people that are toxic, that are just going to put you on edge. Stepping away from these things and finding a healthy way to interact with people and society can really support you in a much more fruitful way. There's also some very specific ways to begin to reduce the felt experience of anxiety. And one of these is called grounding 333 method. In a sense, it's simply focusing on an object in your physical environment. You could grab an object off your table, you could grab the remote control or something like that to your TV, shut it off, and look at it and just focus on describing what it looks like, what it feels like, and even what it sounds like if it has noise. It's a way to just break away for the moment when you're feeling that anxiety. And it's a way, just a very simple way to distract yourself from general anxiety in the moment if you're feeling a little overwhelmed. A tool that is very, very helpful and is proving to be more and more productive is meditation. And over the last 40 years, meditation and mindfulness terms and techniques have been really introduced to the West, and we're becoming much more comfortable with their actual practical application. Meditation is an important tool that really helps with anxiety, and it has long-term consequences because science and brain scans have shown again and again that a continued deep and regular practice of meditation can actually change the way your mind works and make you a less reactive person. And it really does have staying effect. It's not just while you're in the act of meditation itself, it will carry through day in and day out and even to your sleep and overnight, because you're starting to rewire the way your brain works. So try it. And meditation oftentimes is confused with this stoic, sitting on your cushion state in which your brain is doing no activity. I can tell you from a lot of personal experience, that's exactly the opposite. Meditation is really getting to a place where you're less reactive to your thoughts as they pass across your mind. You will notice things pop up and they will move across, and the meditation practice is really to learn not to react to them more than anything, and learn to see that that's just your mind being busy. One insight that often comes out of meditation, and one that is really important to note, is that Over time, when you're in deep meditation, you will notice and often have an insight that any stimulus, whether it's emotional, mental, or even physical pain, is really neutral until we assign it a value and call it good, bad, right, wrong, blue, red, painful, or pleasant, for example. And you can actually start to make headway even with physical sensation that seems uncomfortable. Over time, you will notice that the sensation rises, it's present for a while, and it'll eventually go away. Now, if somebody's sticking a fork in your hand, for example, and you have pain associated with that, you probably need to do something about it. But more distress and discomfort that comes from sitting for a long time in meditation, your mind will learn to let go of that discomfort and eventually move on. So if we can work to see that thoughts are just passing by and become more and more disciplined at letting them go, this can be a great relief and again have a big impact on anxiety. Another thing that's really important to control anxiety and even stress is general exercise. Getting out there and doing moderate to medium stressed exercise really releases those brain chemicals that can help you make a big impact on anxiety and will have staying power just like meditation. A final technique that can be very helpful is to focus your energy on a challenging activity that you normally wouldn't engage in. Starting a new thing like running a running practice, for example, a couch to 5K and discipline and getting focused on getting up every day and doing that, for example, it can really focus your brain on a specific task and a specific set of accomplishments that takes the anxiety out of the equation. Or begin a new discipline, new education program. Schooling, for example, can really do that as well. But again, it focuses down your mind on something and all the anxious thoughts and the other things can be turned down. So this is not an exhaustive list of all things you can do to combat anxiety. And it's not just going to suddenly turn it off because we all live with it. It's part of a natural human reaction to a stressful world. But these are at least a few techniques that you can start to relieve some of that distress right now and really start to turn off that reaction to background anxiety that we feel when we become anxious. While this is not an exhaustive list of techniques to reduce anxiety, and it's not going to suddenly just turn off your anxiety, these are at least a few techniques that you can start to work with today to relieve some of that stress. And then we ultimately can feel less anxious in our lives. So try them out, give them a shot, and see how it works. Thank you so much for listening today. Appreciate your time.